Good evening and welcome to the Demolition Daily live stream. I'm your host Mark Anthony and I've just caught a glimpse of myself for the first time. I'm actually wearing a navy blue top, but I look like a bit of a floating head against this black background, so I apologise for that. We were scheduled to have a guest on the show this evening, but for reasons too long and far too boring to go into here, the guest couldn't make it, so we've pushed them back a bit, probably to next week now. So having committed to a daily show, and with a guest dropping out with just an hour or two to spare, I was faced with the very real prospect of having to pull the plug entirely. However, one of the things that the imaginary school of live streaming teaches us is that the show must go on, just like in show business. If a live streaming school actually existed, it would also teach us that an occasional glimpse behind the scene tends to be very well received. So tonight's episode, which will be along just a second, will be dedicated to the genesis of a desperately sad story that I'm currently working on, but to which I don't yet have an ending. So be right back after this. So late on Friday, I received a tip-off that a demolition contractor here in the southeast of England had called in the receivers. It's a kind of phone call that's become all too familiar recently. The phone call arrived out of hours, and as we were going into the weekend, I just had no way of verifying the tip-off. So first thing yesterday morning, I was back on the case. While I was desperately trying to clarify whether this was a true story or just a rumour, I had another call that just seemed to confirm the sad truth. But as a journalist, that wasn't enough. Writing about the demise of a company and the potential loss of jobs is bad enough, but to do so without all the facts and in the presence of even the slightest doubt makes matters even worse. And I needed confirmation. So I spent a large part of yesterday on the phone, and I've now done the same again today. All of the familiar signs are there. A call to the company in question rings straight through to voicemail and to a message that says the office is unmanned. Take it from me, having made that phone call so many times now, that's never a good sign. The company apparently works from a serviced office, so like the dogged, determined journalist that I am, I rang another organisation based at the same address. They confirmed also that the office was currently unmanned. I went online and found that one of the company's former employees has just changed his LinkedIn status from employed to self-employed. That's also an indication that all is not well, but it still wasn't the confirmation that I needed. In fact, at the time of broadcasting, that confirmation still hasn't materialized. Yet everything points to a sad truth that the demolition sector has lost another of its number. This year has already seen the loss of Fourth Demolition back in March, and more recently McFletch and S. Fallon and Sons. The loss of another demolition company would make 2020 the worst for the UK demolition industry since the very darkest days of the last recession. And there's still another 6 or so weeks of the year left to go. I'm hoping that the latest story isn't true, that tales of the demise of this company are premature, that they're misplaced, or they are merely mischief making among rival demolition companies. That this is one of those rare cases where there's lots of smoke but absolutely no fire. Sadly, I don't think that's the case. I don't have enough reliable information to allow me to run the story, but in my heart of hearts and in my journalistic gut, I know it's true. I was speaking to one of my friends about this very subject earlier today, and I was trying to be optimistic, to place a positive spin upon what appears to be a very negative situation. This is the circle of life, I explained to my friend. This might, and I emphasize the word might, mark the end of one demolition company. But the death of that company might nourish many more as former employees take their expertise to rival firms. There's every possibility that from the ashes, a totally new company, a totally new demolition company will rise. And who knows? Maybe this will spawn the next Keltbray, the next Erith, or the next Squibb Group. I'd love to think that's the case, that the ill wind of bad news for one company might blow some good news into one or more others. But will it? It's tough out there at the moment. Times are already challenging, and the current COVID lockdown is making matters significantly worse. All of that will unquestionably cloud the recruitment landscape now and in the foreseeable future. That's not the only reason this news, if it turns out to be news, couldn't have come at a worse time. As I'm recording this and as I'm broadcasting this, Christmas Day is 45 days away. That's an expensive time of year, a time that tradition dictates we each demonstrate our generosity to our family and our friends and our loved ones. It's also a time when recruitment largely grinds to a halt. So those employees that find themselves unemployed today, through no fault of their own, now have just a few short weeks to find alternative employment. If they don't, there's a very real possibility that some of those people will be facing a period of unemployment that could actually extend into the new year. I don't know if any of the people impacted by this apparent company collapse are watching. Frankly, if I just lost my job, I don't suppose I'd be in the mood for live streams either. But I do hope that they will find UK Demolition jobs and their website. There's a heap of new jobs over there at the moment, and one of those just might be suitable. I'm not even sure what a bloke like me with a microphone, a computer, and a silly hat can do either. But if I can be of any help to any of those people, then I hope they'll get in touch. If you'd like me to look over your CV, share it with others, share it with our readers, listeners, and viewers, just let me know. It's the least I can do for an industry that has given me so much over the years. There is a bit of me that still clings to the hope that the story is untrue, that I'll receive a call that proves I've wasted the past 3 days chasing the proverbial wild goose. As it stands this evening, I fear that 2020 has claimed another victim, that the Demolition Brotherhood has just lost one of its number. I've been wrong before, a lot. Anybody that reads Demolition News will tell you I've been wrong a lot. I just hope I'm wrong again. Now, I won't be here tomorrow night. Despite my promise to broadcast live every day until the second lockdown runs its course, I've been seconded to our Diggers and Dozers channel tomorrow. So at 6:30, I will be looking at the past, the present, and the possible future of the oft maligned backhoe loader. If that sounds like something that might be of interest to you, then I'd love for you to join us. The more the merrier. We will be broadcasting live on both the YouTube and Facebook channels of Diggers and Dozers, and I hope to see you there. Failing that, I will return here like the prodigal son or the proverbial bad penny, depending on your viewpoint, on Thursday at 6 p.m. Until then, stay safe, look after yourselves, look after your family, your friends, and your colleagues. And if someone would like to call me and tell me that the story I've been chasing for the past 3 days is just a red herring, I'd really love to hear from you. Till then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again on Thursday.